Are you looking for an alternative for your American Express Gold Card? The American Express Gold Card has been a leading favorite card with American Express for as long as it's been out. Sure, the American Express Platinum card is the big daddy card that everyone sees to being a shiny one that they want to get, but when it comes to earning potential, the American Express Platinum card has nothing on the Gold Card, and that's the reason why people love it. The Gold Card earns 4x back at restaurants and also 4x back at grocery stores. We all need to eat, so getting yourself 4x back on all food purchases, which is one card that earns a transferable point, is currently unmatched. And to add to that, this card's gonna give you 3x back on flights. So when it comes to earnings, this card's going to cover the most popular categories for most people being food purchases, and then also a high spending category as being flight purchases. This is the reason why this card is a beast of an earner card. Now, having said all that, the American Express Gold Card did revamp itself last year, changing its already somewhat hefty $250 annual fee to an even larger $325 annual fee. This caused many people to look for alternatives for the American Express Gold Card, because as good as the Gold Card is when it comes to earnings, it already had the $250 annual fee and monthly credits that most people weren't super happy about. Because while the credits weren't bad credits, just having to remember to use these credits every single month could end up being challenging for some people, and if you end up missing it one month, well, it's use it or lose it, which just cuts into your gains. So adding in the new $100 Resi credit that's broken up into bi-yearly, being $50 for the first half of the year and then another $50 for the second half of the year, and then also adding in the $84 Dunkin' Donuts credit, which ends up being broken up into $7 each month, wasn't something that people were super happy to jump on. The way to look at it is they have to make sure that you use your American Express Gold Card at these places for a combined total of 38 times. You would need to use your American Express Gold Card with Dunkin' Donuts 12 times, you'd have to use it with the dining credit 12 times, you'd have to use it with Uber 12 times, and then also you'd have to use it with Resi 2 times. Now for some people, this wasn't a problem, but for others, they know that they're not going to be able to keep up with all these credits without at least one time missing out on either using the Resi credit for one half of the year or missing out on using the Uber credit. So because of that, this cuts into your gains and makes the American Express Gold Card not as valuable. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at alternatives with the other 3 major banks, being Capital One, Citi, and Chase. So first, we're going to look at Capital One. And Capital One, in my opinion, has the best alternative for the American Express Gold Card. And this is going to be the Saver card. Now, Capital One changed up its Saver lineup, where they used to have a Saver 1 card and also a Saver card that had an annual fee. However, they got rid of the Saver card and then they turned the Saver 1 card into now being the Saver card. It's kind of confusing, but just know that there's only a Saver card that you can apply for, and it has no annual fee, and it gives you 3x back on dining and also 3x back at the grocery store. So yes, this is less than the American Express Gold Card's 4x back at dining and at groceries, but this card has no annual fee, so you don't have to worry about trying to make up that $325 that comes with the American Express Gold Card. So if for any reason there's going to be a month where you're not going to be using the Saver card, say you happen to get a different card that you're working on the welcome offer for, well, you're not going to get penalized for not using the Saver card because there's no annual fee. But if you happen to have the American Express Gold Card and you don't use it every single month to take advantage of those credits, well, then you're going to be losing out on money. Additionally, the Saver card gives you 3x back on entertainment and on streaming services. Now, it used to be that streaming services wasn't a very high spending category for most people, but I've been meeting people lately who tell me that they have HBO Max, Netflix, Disney Plus, Spotify, and like 5 other streaming services that end up being more expensive than what it would be to have cable every single year. So if you're one of those people who's spending close to $200 each month on streaming services, well, the Saver card is going to be a great fit in your wallet. And also, the 3x back on entertainment, I think, is a slept-on category, because this can cover things like movie theaters or sporting events, or if you happen to go to any concerts. I mean, if you were a family who went to a Taylor Swift concert last year, you may have earned more points with this card as compared to what you got for dining the entire year. Another slept-on benefit from the Saver card is that it has no foreign transaction fees. If you look at most no annual fee cards, they have foreign transaction fees. But this card is a MasterCard with no foreign transaction fees, so if you happen to be traveling to places like Spain, where when I went with my American Express Gold Card, it got denied in most places that I visited. However, with this MasterCard of the Saver card, you would be accepted anywhere that takes credit cards. And also, with the American Express Gold Card, when you use it at grocery stores overseas, you're only going to be getting 1x back because they only have 4x back for groceries in the United States. But with the Saver card, you still would end up getting yourself 3x back on groceries worldwide. So if you want to have the best alternative for the American Express Gold Card, it's going to be the Capital One Saver card. Now, most people who get the American Express Gold Card get that card because they want to earn points. And with those points, they can transfer out to partners to get themselves outsized value. When you look at a card like the Saver card, this card earns cash back. However, that cash back can be converted to being venture miles, but you need to have a venture card to be able to do that. Whether it ends up being the Venture 1 card, the Venture X card, or just a plain old Venture card. So unlike the American Express Gold card, where you'd only need that card to transfer out to partners, with the Saver card, you would need to combine it with another one to actually get outsized value for that cash back that you are earning. Now, some people may find it annoying that they need to get 2 Capital One cards to replace the 1 American Express Gold card. And while I get why you may not want to have 2 cards to replace one, just think of it this way, that if you happen to get these 2 cards, you're not going to have to worry about the monthly credits with the 1 American Express Gold card. So away 38 times using the American Express Gold card's credits each year at these places versus just getting 2 cards with Capital One. The Saver card comes with a $200 welcome offer after you end up hitting the minimum spend. If you don't happen to have this card and you are interested in getting it, check out my links in the description box down below. If you do decide to use any of my links, it does really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. But Capital One cards can be a little bit harder to get approved for if you are a little bit deeper in the game. So if you happen to not be able to get approved for a new Capital One card, but you already happen to have other Capital One cards that you aren't using anymore, such as like a Quicksilver card, well, you can product change that card to being a Saver card. Now, unfortunately, Capital One doesn't just allow you to call them up and say, hey, I want to product change my Quicksilver card to being a Saver card. You have to go into the app and then see if there is in the special offers under the card to be able to what they call upgrade to a different card. If you end up seeing that under your Quicksilver card, there is an upgrade option to being a Saver card, well then immediately change it over, because the Saver card is going to actually be useful, whereas the Quicksilver card may have been useful as one of your first cards, but probably isn't very useful now. Now, the offer isn't always there, and for about a year, I've been trying to product change my Quicksilver card to being a Saver card, but there wasn't an option. However, just last week, I saw that I was able to upgrade my Quicksilver card to a Saver card. So finally, I can add this awesome card into my wallet. Next, we're gonna look at Citi. Now with Citi, they actually have an option where you can earn yourself even more points than what you would with the American Express Gold card or the Capital One Saver card. And this is going to be with the Custom Cash card. The Custom Cash card gives you 5x back in one category each month. Now with this 5x back category, it does have a cap of $500 every single month, but you can use it in categories like dining or grocery stores. So if you use this card for dining throughout the month up to $500, you would earn 2,500 points with this card, whereas you would earn less points with both the Saver card and the American Express Gold card. Now you wouldn't want to use this one Custom Cash card on both dining and groceries, because if you did, you would get 5x back in one of those categories and then only 1x back in the other category. So the way to maximize this would end up being to have multiple Custom Cash cards. Because if you had just 2 Custom Cash cards, you'd be able to have one of them that can give you 5x back in dining, and then another one that can give you 5x back in groceries, giving you 5x back in both of those categories. Now I know some of you may be wondering, can you have 2 Custom Cash cards? And the answer is yes, you can actually have even more than 2 Custom Cash cards. Now, the way I would go about it would not be to just apply for multiple Custom Cash cards. What you would want to do is first apply for one Custom Cash card, and then after, you'd want to apply for a card like the American Airlines credit card that usually has a welcome offer between 60 or 75,000 American Airlines miles after you end up hitting the minimum spend. The reason why you would do this is because you could get all of those valuable American Airlines miles, and then after 1 year of having that card, you could product change that American Airlines card to being a Custom Cash card. So instead of just applying for 2 Custom Cash cards and then not getting a welcome offer on one of them, what you could do is you could get the most valuable miles out there being American Airlines miles. And because Citi is one of the only banks that I know of that allows you to change a co-branded card into being one of their regular cards, you could just change your American Airlines card into being a Custom Cash card. Doing this strategy would give you the highest return and also give you the exact cards that you want. Now, after you change that card and you have 2 Citi Custom Cash cards, then you're going to want to apply for the Citi Premier card. And the reason is, just like with the Capital One card where you need to have a venture card to be able to transfer out to partners, where you need to have the Citi Premier card to be able to grab onto your Custom Cash thank you points and be able to transfer out to the different partners that are connected with Citibank. And the Citi Premier card is a beast of a card in itself. So don't think of it as a card that you have to have. Think of it as a card that's going to give you 3x back in a ton of different categories. Doing this strategy would get you 3 welcome offers. You'd have 2 cards that give you 5x back in dining and in groceries, and then also you'd have 1 card that gave you 3x back in flights being the Citi Premier card. And this entire setup would only end up being $95 for an annual fee. Now this strategy does take a lot longer than just applying for the American Express Gold card. You would also have to have 3 cards as compared to just the one American Express Gold card. And you also would have to label both of the custom cash cards just to make sure you knew which one was which. But I think if you happen to be done with American Express and their high annual fees, and you want a great alternative that can earn you a decent amount of points, well then having this Citi 3-card setup could end up being the way to go. Now there are a few downsides to this setup. The first one is going to be that cap of $500 in the one category every single month. Because if you happen to be, say, a family of 6, well then you could easily go over that amount of spend every single month. So it can end up making more sense to have something like either the Saver card or just having the American Express Gold card. Also, the custom cash cards have a foreign transaction fee. So you wouldn't want to use these cards overseas. Now you could still use the Citi Premier card that ends up being a really strong travel card, but we're trying to find an alternative for the American Express Gold card, and if you're trying to find that alternative for overseas, I'd rather have the Saver card with no annual fee than the Premier card with a $95 annual fee. I'm not saying that the Premier card is better than the Saver card, I'm saying that the Saver card is a better alternative for the American Express Gold card. So if you're someone who spends under $6,000 on dining and on groceries, then this strategy can end up working out for you. But if you do end up exceeding that spend in these categories, then it'll probably end up being better to have the Gold card, especially if you can take advantage of the credits. And finally, we're gonna look at Chase. Now, when it comes to Chase having an alternative for the American Express Gold card, they don't really have a good option. And the reason is because Chase doesn't really have a grocery category that ends up being strong on any of their cards. The best card that they have when it comes to groceries is gonna be the Chase Sapphire Preferred card that gives you 3x back on online grocery purchases. And this excludes Walmart and Target. Now I do know that there are like a lot of people in England who like to have their groceries delivered to them to their home. For most people that I know who do that here in the US, they end up doing it with Amazon, which I don't believe ends up coming up as a 3x back category for online grocery purchases. So while this could end up being strong if you can take advantage of it, I do think it ends up being a lot more challenging to take advantage of as compared to what American Express, Capital One, and Citi have to offer. The Freedom Flex card is an option where you end up getting 5x back, typically 1 quarter throughout the year, but most of us are shopping for groceries for more than 1 quarter throughout the year, and only ends up being $1,500 as a cap. The Aeroplan card does give you 3x back on groceries, which Aeroplan miles are really strong, but most people would prefer to have transferable currencies that you get with Capital One, American Express, or Citi as compared to just only earning Aeroplan miles. I don't know how many people realize this, but Chase ends up being great when it comes to how many different cards are out there with them you can end up getting welcome offers for. But when it comes to earning with their cards, they are not the strongest earner cards, especially on their personal side. You definitely can end up earning more points if you have Capital One or Citi or American Express cards as you could with the same spend if you happen to only have Chase cards. There are a couple more advanced alternatives, such as getting gift cards at office supply stores, or if you happen to only be shopping at Whole Foods, you could end up getting the Amazon card, but the Amazon card only ends up earning cash back. So in all reality, if you are someone who only happens to have the American Express Gold card and Chase cards, and you want to get rid of your American Express Gold card, we're going to end up having a void when it comes to hitting categories because Chase just doesn't fill the needs of an American Express Gold card. So if you want an alternative for an American Express Gold card, do not go over to Chase. Now you can go over to Citi, however with Citi, you would have to get 3 different Citi cards, and then also you'd have to be spending under $6,000 each year in the categories of grocery and dining to beat out the American Express Gold card. So if you are someone who is a higher spender in these categories, then going with the Citi route would not end up being the best option. The number one alternative is the Capital One Saver card. This is a card that will end up earning you less points, but it'll have no annual fee. And if you actually end up spending a lot in these categories, well, unlike the American Express Gold card that does have a cap in both of their categories, the Capital One Saver card has 3x back unlimited earnings. You would need to get a venture card to transfer out to partners, so if you're someone who can't get approved for another Capital One card, then unfortunately you'd only end up earning cash back with this setup. Now if you can get approved for both those cards, while it is a 2-card setup, you most likely would end up doing better with earnings with those 2 cards, being the Saver card and whichever venture card you want to get, as compared to what you would get from having the American Express Gold card. The American Express Gold card is one of a kind, because it's the only card out there that's going to be giving you 4x back on dining and on groceries, and these end up being transferable points. Sure, you can get multiple other cards that can end up giving you a very similar thing to the American Express Gold card, but the American Express Gold card is a 1-card setup that a lot of people could use and get a ton of value from. But because of the high annual fee of the Gold card, I understand why people would want to have alternatives. So look at Capital One or Citi because they do have decent alternatives. While you do need to have multiple cards, they could end up still replacing the gold card. Chase, not so much, so I wouldn't look at them, but just know that you do have options. Now I got a retention offer for my gold card, so I'm gonna be keeping it for at least another 6 months, but after those 6 months end up hitting, I may just end up going with the Capital One setup because of the fact that I won't have to worry about keeping up with those annual credits. But let me know in the comment section down below. Are you someone who has the American Express Gold Card? And if you do, are you satisfied with that card? Or are you looking for alternatives for the Gold Card because the credits and the high annual fee are just becoming a little bit too much for you? But hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts about the Gold Card and my alternatives? Now, if you happen to have any questions, you can drop them down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer it. If you happen to be interested in any cards, check my links in the description box to learn more. If you use any of my links, it does help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. If you want to become my points and miles booking expert, go to Points Travel 101 to purchase my course. After completing my course, you will be confident with booking business and first class flights all over the world. And if you happen to really like this video, do me a favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day.